Topic for the day, as always, brought to you, the people, and Steven Insler.
Patreon producer Steven
He's the
Insler.
homie.
Now, again, you want to know how in deep with the Kind of Funny community, how much of a fan the guy who makes Bears Can't Drift is?
Oh.
He sent us codes, said all this, and then he said, here's a bunch of giveaway codes, and then he had one code, and he said, make sure you give this to Steven Insler
Really?
if he's still alive, because the joke is Steven Insler died, and his credit
that's
card just
awesome.
keeps rolling
Thank
over.
you so much. Dude, Bears Can't Drift, we had a lot of fun in that.
I'm looking forward to playing that when we get back from PAX.
Yeah, it's a fun game. All right. Sombrero says, hey guys, when do you
Can I get a Minority Report on that name, Kevin?
You're a goddamn racist.
Kevin, if I put the hat down, you know what? If I put the sombrero down in the middle, you know what I do?
All right. You guys are definitely going to make fun of me. His name, absolutely not Sombrero. His name is Somber Owl.
We would have never known. We would have never known.
Somber Owl. It looks like Sombrero.
Close enough. It shows you how we actually read.
Yeah, right.
Like by
You see the first letter and the last letter, and you're like, close enough.
Holy shit. Hey guys, when do you
L.
think we'll hear about the next numbered Far Cry game, Far Cry 5?
Oh.
And where would you like to see it go? Personally, I'd like to see them go somewhere we haven't seen yet, like a desert location, or possibly somewhere in Europe.
Seems like it'd be a next year game, right? Fall of
E3.
next year.
Yeah, maybe E3.
You're talking for release,
Yeah. Well, when will we see it? For probably maybe fall. I feel like Ubisoft's being a little more deliberate now, so I don't know that they're necessarily even going to release it next year. Primal did way better than they thought too, so I wonder if they're going to actually double down on that setting as well. But where do I want to see it? I don't really care because it's all about the mechanic. Those games are fucking sublime. They really are. Like the Far Cry games are awesome. And so if it's another tropical location that looks exactly like the last location, fine. I don't care.
I'd like to go to the U.S. Let's do a U.S. city. Come on. Let's have
Where?
some fun.
What you thinking?
Make it up. It'll be like a Willamette, Colorado, I'm sure.
Well, that would be cool to go to like Yosemite or something like that, but or Yellowstone. But I feel like part of those games' allure is that they are, I don't want to say foreign because people, aren't all American or whatever, but there's something not Western about those games.
That's why I think it'd be different and shake it up. Let's go somewhere, bring it back home.
It's possible. Yeah.
It is the 5th game.
Yeah.
So,
You want that? You want to go be Troy Baker? Go be Troy Baker.
yeah. That's how I live my life. Nico has a long one here. He says, evening, fellas. My question relates to the pricing of software and hardware in the U.S. when compared to other territories, and more specifically, the huge markup that seems to occur outside of the U.S. This can be seen on almost any random title you care to think of, but for the sake of brevity, I'll give the example of The Last of Us Remastered, digital. On the U.S. PlayStation Store, the game's priced at $19.99. Yet in the UK PlayStation Store, the price sits at £39.99, which at the time of writing works out at around $52. As mentioned previously, this huge discrepancy in pricing can be seen on many titles, and it's the same story when comparing USD to other currencies such as Australian dollars.
Oi!
I realize that the various factors can affect game pricing across differing regions, such as regional sales, etc., but to see such an astronomical difference on a consistent basis, over 200% in the case of The Last of Us, seems inexcusable. Do you guys have any insider knowledge as to why these price discrepancies occur, or do Sony simply hate us? Much love, Nick.
We have freedom. And so our freedom
Solid
allows
point.
us to get
That is
cheaper
a solid
things.
point.
Next question.
Colin, do you have any real answers?
No, so I have answers for why games are cheaper in some places, or more expensive, I should say, in some places. In Brazil, for instance, games are fucking way marked up. Hardware is like outrageously expensive there because of significant taxes on imports there. So like there's things like that happen. I think they were saying wasn't the PS4 literally like $2,000 or something like that?
I vaguely remember
Like
something like
that. Lord.
So like. It's something to do with like over there, and I could be wrong. I'm sure we have Brazilians that could correct me on it completely. That's something like they have an import tax and these electronics are taxed in a certain way, and it just marks the price up. So I know that like in that specific market, that's the reason, or that's one of the reasons. In Australia and in places like the UK and stuff, my theory on this, and this has been my long held theory, whether it's true or not, is that the United States is a huge market, so volume makes you more money on the back end. And when you're in Australia, where you have a fraction of the people playing games there, you have to sell them for more money. Like I really do think that it might be as simple as that in some places. Mm-hmm. There could be some taxation issues. There could be some funding of different boards that rate the games that you have to pay, and all those kinds of things. But I bet you that in a lot of these smaller countries, and I'm not necessarily, UK is not really a small country, but Australia, for instance, doesn't have a huge population. I bet you something has to do with the fact that in the United States, it's like why they released the PS4 here first. They sold 1 million units in 24 hours. That wouldn't have happened anywhere else. So when you're selling at volume, you can afford to sell a game for $60 USD that might cost $80 USD somewhere else because the money needs to be recouped somehow. And if you don't have a volume of gamers buying them that you do in a bigger market, then that might be the way you make it up. But I think that there are a lot of Byzantine kind of taxation issues and importation issues in a lot of these countries as well. So.
Jan Hell Yeah says, hey, Colin, Greg, and Tim, congrats on the studio and all the success. I want to know if any of you have an idea about your total kill count in all the video games you've ever played.
Jesus God.
This includes players, AI, neutral animals, robots, basically everything you can kill in a video game.
No, that's
It's got
impossible.
to be
No
millions.
idea. Millions.
For
Yeah.
sure. We've played games our entire life. You kill something every game.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And
Did your parents ever have an issue with like the vernacular used in all that? My
Killing?
mom, total hippie. Like she would hate it when me and my brother or even Kevin would be like, oh, we died. Like playing Mario, like, oh, I died. She just was not happy
Not
with
having
that
that.
at all.
No, I remember when I was playing Doom 2 on the computer. You remember there's rabbits in Doom? This is like one of those things. The guy like rabbits or some shit. I forget what the hell it was. But I remember we were outside and I had been playing it all weekend or something, and we were gardening or some shit like that. I don't remember. And I made some comment about like cutting a tree in half in our yard to see the rings or whatever. And my mom flipped out and was like, oh, next you want to cut the heads off those rabbits and see the rings. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you fucking talking about? She's like, don't say fucking. And I was like, I put down. So the last part didn't happen. But like, I remember it was like this escalation of something that she had been worried about this game. And suddenly me wanting to cut this tree in half, because that's what you learn in school, was somehow related to Doom being that. What? What do you got for me? What do you got, Big Kev Dog?
First of all, I was really scared that you were gonna end up killing a rabbit.
No.
And second of all, they teach you how to cut trees down in school?
No, but you know how that was? You go on it, you're on, I don't know, we're on a field trip or outdoor ed or some shit, or just in class. You're talking about like you find a stump and you see the rings, and that's how old that damn dumb tree is.
But I love that you looked at that tree and you're
Like,
like,
let's cut this tree down and see how old this is.
I want to see the inside of that.
I want to see the inside of that tree right now. I've always been fascinated by the vernacular generally that we use in games that we take for granted, and I'm learning that, with different people in my life as I've gone on. And I think also about dead or dormant kind of things that we don't say anymore. We don't use the term bored anymore, B-O-A-R-D, which was a term that was used constantly in the NES and SNES era. The first board, the second board. And this goes back to the way people thought about games and tabletop games and the way they segued into, and then we started calling them levels and stages, bosses, maps, leveling, backtracking. Like there's this whole way we talk about games that is completely fucking foreign to people that don't know how to play games. These words mean something. Level means something in the real world, to be level or a level. You know, like our two, like, if you're hanging a picture or something like that. But a level in a game is like a stage. But a stage is something.
But level could also be like role playing.
Yeah,
level.
yeah, leveling. Yeah, like so it's. I love that generally. Like thinking about the way we talk about things, dying and killing and all that kind of stuff. Like they are thrown around in a way that you wouldn't throw them around in the real world. But the news flash for people is that it's not the fucking real world. So, so I think
This
that
is our world.
But I love that if we really sat
motherfucker.
down and thought about it, the way it's like speaking Russian to someone. If you talk about your experience in Mass Effect, and you're jumping from mass relay to mass relay, and you're gaining experience points, and you're dealing with different
alien.
character classes, and like
Fucking Garrus.
you're upgrading and using upgrade trees and all this.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck does any of that mean to someone? Nothing. Nothing. It means nothing.
Checkpoints.
Checkpoints.
Even.
Yeah.
Krogans.
So it's interesting when you think about it that way.
Yes, absolutely. I like this show. Lelouch Lamperouge. Shout out to Code Geass there. Considering Colin's admiration of Inafune and love of the Mega Man series, what is his opinion of the Battle Network series, which was my favorite? And what does he see as the future of the Mega Man legacy after Mighty No. 9's flop? Mega Man's simply too long and successful a series to push on the rug for longer.
Battle Network was fun, but I think that similar to Star Force, which came after Battle Network, I think it just went too far. Battle Network was very much a product of the time during the late 90s and early 2000s rise of
craze.
Pokemon and card battling and collecting. I really liked Battle Network and Battle Network 2.
They
I
were
think
awesome.
they were really great games. It's just that and actually really all of them are fine. It's just that like they came out too quickly, and then Star Force did the same thing, and it's like these aren't really Mega Man games, and that's always why I've always questioned the admiration of Legends as well, because I'm like, what is it about this game that people really love that makes it Mega Man? It's not the furthest Mega Man has ever gone outside of the classic series where it's Mega Man is X, and the unfortunate thing is Classic and X are dead. We never even got a bridge game that put them together, which would have been awesome and would have been an obvious thing to do maybe for its 25th anniversary. For
Mega Man
instance.
Generations. It sounds like you're talking about Sonic Generations. No, sorry,
I looked real quick. I'm like, is that at Wily Castle? I feel like the future of Mega Man is uncertain. So first of all, Mighty Number 9. No one likes Mighty Number 9. Game sucks. And it's a disaster. I think Inafune's legacy is definitely injured over it. And depending on how Recore goes. And I saw Recore behind closed doors at E3, and I think it looks just very generic. But I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. I think that a lot rides on the future of Mega Man-like games based on Inafune's rise or fall based on these two games, right? But Capcom definitely has plans for Mega Man, and I still really do believe that they're going to do a big AAA Mega Man game, and I think that would be cool, but I also want Mega Man 11. I also want Mega Man X9. Like it's a similar argument I make about Tactics or these other games or the Castlevania, Metroidvania style games, where I'm like, why don't you just release these a lot and then stop when it feels like it's time and then bring them back, and as opposed to like Battle Network is just dead, right? Like Star Force is just dead. You could have spread those games out and been more thoughtful, or maybe spam them for a little while and then went away and then spam them again as people's like appetite for them come back. So I would love 11 in the same vein as 9 and 10, and I'd love X9 because I think that those games are really good too and they're different. But I really do believe, I do believe we're gonna get a AAA Mega Man game, open world game. Like I just feel that that's what they're gonna do. They're not Capcom, unlike some other companies we make fun of. Are they're not really stupid. Like they make weird decisions and they seem to correct themselves often. So like they did with they're doing Resident Evil, right? They did with Street Fighter 4. Like they every once in a while, like you see this weird thing out of them where they're like, no, we understand, and I think they know what they have to do with Mega Man, and I've said it before and I said it again, like I would kill to fucking write that game. Like I have this vision for that game that would be awesome. I want it to be dark and violent. Like that's one of the big things is like the robots are killing humans. Like Mega Man is murdering these fucking robots, and I've said it before, but like it takes place in a city, and the Mega Man 2 robots are the ones you fight first, not the Mega Man 1 ones. And so you find Woodman in like the park in the middle of the city. You find Flashman at the TV studio or whatever, like a news studio. You find like all these kinds of different. You find Heatman at a factory or something like that. And there's like these really violent fights and these like really like visceral and hectic fights going on. And then it comes that Wily had created these particular robots and had reprogrammed the original robots from the original game, and so like Fireman and all those guys that had practical purposes that Mega Man and Light thought weren't even a problem at all, that were still under their control, and so the games are turned upside down. And I think that would be cool, and I'll write it. I'll fucking write it, and it would be awesome. It would be an awesome game.
Kind of sounds like Sonic 2006, which worries me. Navi says, hey guys, long time, first time. My question is, how should reviews work for games with multiple versions? For instance, series like Pokemon, Fire Emblem Fates, or games which release on multiple platforms at the same time. Should reviewers do 2 separate reviews? The Too Much Water critique, for example, seems to apply more to Pokemon Sapphire than Pokemon Ruby. Thanks. Congrats on the new studio, and keep up the great work.
No, they should play a version of it and be very clear on which version they played. I when we were at IGN and we did multi-platform reviews, I mean, it was always the thing of I'd play through it usually on the PlayStation SKU for trophies or whatever the reasoning was, or that's what I got because those are my debugs, or vice versa. And then I remember when you had to the review would go up. And then the retail would come in and I'd pop in the Xbox version or whatever version I hadn't played and play it for 20 minutes, 15 minutes to make sure that it seemed like it had the same issues and those same things, and then we'd transfer the review. And thank God that never really backfired on me, but Skyrim, right? They reviewed Skyrim on PC and port that over to every page, and then PS3 has this giant fucking issue, it turns out, at the very end. How the hell would you ever know that? There's no way to do that. And so going through and reviewing the game and saying, editor's note at the top, This is at the bottom, wherever you need to put it, where your reader knows where to find the information. This was reviewed on the PlayStation 4 after playing this many hours of it. We've done a cursory check on Xbox. It seems like the same, or we didn't get the chance to do that. When you're talking about the Pokemon games, that's more on you in terms of I don't know the differences there. But for a multi-SKU game, that's how I would do it.
I mean, I think there is a big difference there, and that the content is different, and that there is it's subtle things, but in some of the Pokemon games, it could be a pretty big difference. And I think that it's the same thing. You say I'm reviewing Ruby. If you're playing Sapphire, majority of the game is the same. Here are the differences, and I think that's just it's more of an informational thing.
Sure,
and if it is different enough, then I can't think of an instance where this is the case, or Fire Emblem actually. I think that those games are different enough that you could review them separately for Birthright and Conquest. But it also makes sense to review them as the total package of Revelations or whatever the fuck it's called. So, yeah.
And there's going to be enough people out there doing it, I feel like, is the thing, right? Where it's like if I'm at IGN and I'm reviewing whatever Pokemon game and I'm reviewing one version of it, but you really want to know, because obviously I'm just boiling down the bullet points that I've been told in interviews or what I've seen on my fact sheet or whatever the differences are. There's going to be a site out there, a fan site, whoever, that's going to review the other versions, so you can go get it there.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 84 of the Kind of Funny Games cast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Steven Insler, for being Steven Insler. Thank you, Kevin, for being Kevin. Until next time, I love you.